So when I was in college, I was told to expect to have 20 to 40 jobs in my lifetime because the economy we live in is now a gig economy. When I was in seminary working on my master's degree, I was told not to expect a church to pay me full time as a pastor or in some other type of vocational ministry setting because of where the trends are, to expect to be bivocational and to consider it a privilege to basically be compensated for the work that I was training to do. Are these stats real? You always have to take statisticians with a grain of salt. I would say, generally speaking, yes. I've seen it hold up. I've seen most young people I know, if they're hustling and have any type of ambition in life that they want to advance, they're going to have different positions. Now, if they're willing to just go work at the local grocery store and to hold down that hourly job forever, and there's nothing wrong with the honest work of working for a grocery store, but it's going to be hard if you're a clerk or a checker to be able to support your family. That's what I mean. These are great entry level jobs and great in between jobs, but they're very difficult to be able to raise a family on unless you work your way up the ladder, which can be done in terms of being in some type of management role or senior, probably some component of to a management like or administrative high level management type of role, administrative type of role in a setting like that, retail setting. But what have we seen happen in just the economy? We've seen a shift to the global economy. We've seen, lots of online businesses. We've seen automation. All of these things have affected the job market. Now, how can your kids and your youth make the transition from being a kid to then entering a career? Well, one thing to understand is your child may never have one career. Even people that decide to go a career path end up many times having two or three careers. The last several decades of data shows. You may be a professional who has found your career now being changed or becoming much more competitive or not as lucrative as it used to be, and you're now in your 50s or you're in your late 40s or even in your 60s and you're not ready to retire yet. You're not able to financially, or you're not ready to because you want to keep contributing, and you have to pivot to a new career. So you might have lived through this experience yourself, but for your kids, it's a lot of pressure to put on them. What do you want to be when you want to grow up? And what's the one thing you're going to do your whole life? That's not really the way that people thought about jobs in the past. Now, you go back historically and even into the type of economy you see in the Bible that is still predominant around the majority of the world today. It's the idea of you have a set of trade skills, you have a family economy, you might even have an agrarian component where you're growing a portion or even a substantial part of your household income through that. The family economy is there's not really one person just getting a paycheck or two people and then sustaining the whole thing. You have the family living and working together, and they have sets of skills. And that may then involve that they're making things or they're offering services, they might be bartering, they're exchanging. This is the type of economy that you see in the Bible. And there is a lot of agriculture as well, which can be very effective and very lucrative if you do it wisely, because you literally are having a seed multiply 50, 60, 100 fold or more, right? You could have a really huge bumper crop. You're seeing animals breed, give birth, and there's more baby animals now that you can sell or that you can raise and that you can butcher or that you can expand the size of your herd or your flock or whatever type of product that you are getting from or having sustained by that particular animal. But what's the tips for the job market? Let me circle back around to that. Well, I'd encourage you to challenge your young people to get some even self-employment experience. It's an old thing, but cut some neighbor's grass. You can learn some great things about customer service and about hard work and even about balancing the costs of a small business. You can learn a lot of really valuable life lessons from doing that and from working with your hands. Great honest work. Get a job, get a part-time job somewhere when you're in high school or through college. Be intentional with internships, and during your college years especially, maybe even younger, depending on the situation for your kids, it might be a good time to start doing some internships or even just a couple days of job shadowing. A lot of colleges have that type of option. Now, if you have high school age kids that are interested, or I should say young people, young adults that are interested in trades, what a great opportunity. You can become trained in a trade and potentially, I mean, there are multiple high schools doing this across the country where you actually can leave high school and basically like enter the trade or just have a little bit more to finish up. You can be that streamlined. And that's another great option. Even if you wanted to go to college later on, you could take night classes, you can do online, you could do, there's so many ways to do the college path if that's what you want to do one day. But trades are very valuable and there's a huge need for them. There's going to be a huge shortage, is what all the statisticians are telling us. They're really worried about the lack of carpenters and the lack of many different types of trades across our nation. Bottom line, there's always going to need to be electricians, always going to need to be plumbers, those types of things. But any type of job that your child's interested in, as long as it's ethical and moral and honest work, can they job shadow somebody? Before investing all the money in education, do you actually like the work? One thing about ministry for me, is I actually got a lot of experience in it before I ever actually was paying for degrees. I went to conferences in high school. I was very active in my church. I was writing. I was getting feedback. I was speaking at events. I was leading different things. I liked a lot of what I did. I was running my own business. I was doing odd jobs and new skills I would learn. I do for other people. Learned how to do some basic website design. I do that to help other people out. And I just did it enough to get experience and to become okay at certain things. And other stuff, it's like, I'm not passionate about that. I'm halfway decent at it, but it's not going to be part of my skill set. My point is, there are lots of ways to get experience. And when it boils down to it, if you have a skill that someone pays for, you have something valuable. So maybe let's flip our mindset a little bit on how we're thinking about career and safety. Okay, that's normal. One thing Ramsey says often is be okay with being weird. I don't want to be normal because normal is broke, in a mountain of debt, living with a lifetime car payment, having a house that I can't afford, having credit card debt mounting, having disunity with my spouse, having my kids hate me. That's normal. Having college debts that I'm paying on for decades. We had a U.S. president still paying their college loans while they were in office. Why? Why do I want to be normal? Normal is going down a path of divorce. Normal is not being involved in your kids and actually parenting but coddling them. Normal is not living out my faith but being complacent. Normal is mediocrity. If you are okay with being different, then it really tears down a lot of barriers. What if you want to be faithful and you want to be in unity with your spouse and you want to be involved and a responsible parent with your kids? What if you want to take responsibility with your political responsibilities, being able to vote and contribute and to make a difference? School boards are doing crazy things these days. I know I'm saying a lot of things in this video, but there's a difference from living from an involved and contributing mindset to a defeated and this is just how things are mindset. Are you going to choose to be confined and limited by just doing what's normal? Or are you willing to think and work outside what's traditional in order to also then live like no one else now, maybe in a weird way, or sacrifice things now, to live in a way unlike others later on? Imagine what your life will be down the road if you do the hard work now, and then you're reaping the harvest in your older years, and the generosity that you can have, and the involvement with your grandkids, and perhaps a business that you've built that you're passing on to others, that you have run morally and you have run in line with your Christian values, and you're contributing and making a difference in society and offering valuable services or products. It's a different way of thinking, but why don't we think bigger that way rather than focusing on what we're supposed to do? Who decided what we're supposed to do culturally? Something to think about.